who we got this weekend? Who are we picking? We got the Lions versus the Stormers at Newlands. What's the spread, Ollie? 9.5?
9.5. I think, yeah, Stormers should put them away by 10.
So 10 or more?
So, yeah, 10 or more. It's tough because there's also something very enticing about a minus 15.5 for the Stormers playing at home. You can get 270% on your money. So, well, 170%. You're going to include your stake. So it's tempting, but you also never know. Like, Lions Stormers is a funny one. It was a funny one early in the year too. You get the sense that the Lions could maybe put up a decent fight, but they don't have the squad depth that the Stormers have with the player quality.
No, the forwards, they should get Boston.
Yeah, I like the Stormers by 10.
If I go back to that fan stage, just from what we saw in that first 30 minutes, and we always knew that the Stormers potentially could run out of puff at the altitude, as Dobbo kept on saying, they've been training in rain down here, but they were just so strong in that set piece in that first 25 minutes. Smashed them. I mean, Frans Malherbe is still walking those guys to Pretoria, okay, to the mall. And so that scrum was so strong, and I felt that the Lions scrum also struggled a bit against the Sharks. They're not a very strong set piece team. They've got some very exciting backs, but at Newlands, no altitude to worry about. First game back, how many more weeks off do the Stormers need? I think the Stormers would be setting a target and saying, we've got to make a statement in this tournament. We've really got to stick them away, kind of do to them what they did to the Hurricanes at the start of this year's regional Super Rugby. And I would be very surprised if it's not a 15+ home win for the Stormers.
Yeah, I like the plus. I like the minus 9.5. I'll give the points on that one, and be backing the Stormers at minus 9.5. Next, we got the Cheetahs and the Bulls. Bookies having a hard time separating them. What's your thoughts on that, Mark?
Yeah, the Bulls have traditionally always struggled, as most teams do when they go to Bloom. I don't know what they put in the water, or if they take them to the Mystic Boot on the night before, but we say it every week. Everyone loves the Cheetahs. It's like their second favorite team, if it's not your favorite team. And Ruan Pienaar is immense for them. Frans Steyn has showed he hasn't come to retire, he's come to play a bit of rugby again. And they've got so much to prove because of being kicked out of pro rugby. And what a better way to say to anyone, how does your domestic champions not go into pro rugby? And that's what their motivation will be. Yeah. I don't know if they've got the depth beyond the 23 to actually ever win this competition, but they will be wanting to make a point to the administrators, to the organisers of pro rugby, to say, we're not the 5th best team in South Africa. We're definitely in the top 4. And what better way to do it than to stick away the much vaunted Bulls, whose participation in pro rugby is not even questioned, despite being very, very poor for many years in Super Rugby.
I'm not going to bet on the game because I don't have a clue who's going to win, but I'll be watching it in running and probably look to take the points high if they're offered at a reasonable price. I would say 35 to 31, something like that.
Oh, so you got like a plus 50 total?
Yeah, definitely plus 50.
I just don't know if the guys are conditioned enough yet to play that kind of rugby for 80 minutes. I think you might see a bit of a high-scoring first half that tapers off in the second half.
Oh, that's also a good point.
Yeah.
But the big one that no one's talking about, obviously, is in Kimberley.
Right. Well, let's talk about it.
The Griquas up against the Pumas.
We talk about everything.
Yeah.
The Griquas up against the Pumas. For me, in Kimberley, Griquas. Match was in up north would be the Pumas. Again, I've always enjoyed watching those two teams play because there's always good players in that mix.
Yeah.
Who, if they were playing in bigger regions or playing overseas, they would do well. So it's also a hard, brutal game where those two guys play each other. It's like, reminds me of those old club games on a Friday night or a shitty Saturday afternoon.
Who's the coach of the Pumas? What's his name?
Jimmy Stonehouse.
Yeah.
I watched an interview with him the other night, and he's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And just like still in magnificent shape for his age. And he's coached in Japan a bit, and he kept on speaking about just the Pumas will always be his babies. And the interviewer said to him, "How do you coach a team when your best players just get taken the next year?" He said with great joy, he said, "How do you coach a small team when no one wants your players the next year?" And he says, that's what, and he says he finds it so much easier to coach those players because they're not pulling in there in Ferraris, they're not pulling in there on massive contracts and thinking they're doing you a favor by resetting the scrum. He said he's always enjoyed building a team and seeing those players go on somewhere else. So I think he's one of those unsung coaching heroes in South Africa. He's never going to coach the Springboks, potentially never going to do a Super Rugby region, but he's so integral to the fabric and the strength of South African rugby.
He's just a good lad, isn't he?
And a good guy, and the players love him. So I've got the Griquas to win in a high-scoring game.
Yeah.
And them all to have a great night in Kimberley afterwards.
Yeah.
32-26 Griquas for me.
Yeah, I think this could be a 70 points plus game, eh? So I'll be looking for the points in this one again and looking to try and... I mean, Kimberley's it's like you were saying earlier on, the N2 or the N1.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, there you get tackled, you know it, eh?
Yeah.
You just layers of skin off.
The raspberries, as we used to call them. Yeah. No, so it should be a good weekend of rugby. You've got to take advantage of the bookies overvaluing the all black brand. And might be some value in the Stormers to beat the Lions by 10 or more. At least we're playing rugby.
Yeah, no, wonderfully. And that just on that thing, I just hope in the next 2 weeks there can be some form of plan given to government or between government and sporting bodies and that to get some form of fan back.
Yeah, please.
Because if you're in a 50,000 seater and you put 5,000 people there and social distance them and you put some in suites, how is that any different to 4 million people in the morning going in taxis going to work? How is it any different to restaurants being full? To malls, shopping malls being full. You go to a shopping mall on a Saturday afternoon, it's people are walking within 1 meter of each other, half the masks are hanging off, that kind of thing. We really need to just try and integrate people back into a ground, and if we can even get 2,000 people there, get a bit of clapping going, it just adds to the dynamic. We saw that at the French Open in the tennis. The moment there was just a sprinkling of people, it was just a different atmosphere.
And we're seeing it in the NFL. Some teams are allowing 19,000 back in 60, 70,000 seat arenas, and the difference is immense. I mean, it really is from just playing in an empty stadium. So let's hope that we get some common sense applied to some of the sports events that are taking place here. And there's nothing wrong with having 5 to 10,000 people in those stadiums.
No, and it's just let's start trying to live again.
Yeah.
And live sensibly and responsibly. Sanitize, wash your hands, keep a distance, and just get on with life.
You should be on Trump's medical team.
I should be, Superman.
Thanks, guys.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, guys.